Coming up this week on Sporting Journal Radio.
I didn't mean to turn this political with milk, but apparently I did.
Gold mines, pictographs, petroglyphs, there's inland lake.
Catching fish makes you put up with a lot of stuff, too. Broadcasting on the Sporting Journal Radio Network, wherever you get your podcasts, or watch on YouTube.
Fish on right now.
Well, we're here at the 2024 Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic, presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. And our guest now is Jeremy Smith. I fish, I hunt, and always will.
It's just to look out for your everyday hunter, angler, and trapper that's out there.
A Fish Hunt Forever production. This is Sporting Journal Radio. Welcome to the show. I'm Bret Amundsen. Thanks for tuning in on the network by demand, sportingjournalradio.com, or by watching this on YouTube.
Okay.
And if you can tell, I got something in my eye right
Probably
now.
lake water.
Right before, oh gosh, I drank so much of that lake today. And yeah, we got real wet. That's Dan Amundsen, by the way. Thank you for tuning in. Dan, what's going on?
We're at Lake of the Woods.
We are Lake
So
of the Woods.
thankfully it was clean water that's in your eye, thanks to the Clean Water Act
right.
of 1970 something. Sure, I was going to say 4. Wrong.
So it was raining a little bit, and then it was kind of windy today, but then we were on a charter boat with Joe Henry, and it was a full charter boat, so there was 6 of us plus Joe. So the 7 of us on there, and Dan and I sat on the back, and coming across the lake, we caught a little bit of water.
It was a good reminder, again, of why I don't ever want a tiller boat. Big tiller boat for big lakes, because you sit in the back of the boat. Doesn't matter how big the boat is, you'll probably get a little sea spray.
Yeah, there's a little bit of water coming in, and that also means you should have good rain gear when you're out there, no matter what. Even if it's not raining, if you got some waves out there, there's a good chance for getting wet.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we spent some time at the Northwest Angle that I want to talk about. So Joel Laurin, who has this tour to teach you about the history, he's going to be joining us on the show. We'll also talk about what we thought about that tour. Joe Henry is going to join us and give us a fishing report from Lake of the Woods. Do you have your list of sponsors ready to go for this week's show? The
official truck sponsor of Fish Hunt Forever is Invergrove Toyota. When looking for your new rig, head over to Invergrove Toyota. Lake of the Woods Tourism. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital of the world. Plan a trip for this open water season at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. OnX Hunt. See private land boundaries, recent imagery, offline maps, and Minnesota-specific hunt layers. Download the OnX Hunt app today. Tasman Lake Lodge. Catch a world record lake trout and giant pike at Saskatchewan's Tasman Lake. Learn more at tasmanlake.com. Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Catch it all at Devil's Lake. Prairie Sportsman. You can watch episodes anytime at the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel or check your TV guide for local air times. Haybale Heights Campground and Resort. Fish Devil's Lake this summer at Haybale Heights. Learn more at haybaleheights.com. And Guardian Eagle Resort. Go fish the Ontario waters of Guardian Eagle Resort. Catch a pile of walleyes. Fly directly from the Anoka County Blaine Airport. Learn more at guardianeagle.com.
Our friends at Guardian Eagle just had a good time with the All Canada show, guys, by the way. So I've spent some time at these All Canada shows. They do them in Chicago, Milwaukee, and Green Bay. And I've met the guys that run that show, some nice guys running that show. And I think they're doing some giveaways with Guardian Eagle this year. Cool. But they were up there just now. And so I've been talking with some of the guys that are up there, and they had a good time, caught a bunch of fish.
Shocker.
Enjoyed time on the deck. Of course.
Shocker.
I know, right?
Saw caribou, didn't they?
They saw caribou.
That's wicked.
I
can't believe there's caribou there.
And then they posted something and caught a giant, I guess. The
Lesseps Lake giant, I saw.
So, nice job, guys. If you want to plan a trip, book a trip to Guardian Eagle Resort, go to guardianeagle.com and check out our video from there at Fish Hunt Forever on YouTube. Let's go there and check it out. Dan, I've got something for you here. I want to pull it up. Yeah, before we get into how we caught our fish today, because we didn't use live scope. And we basically put a limit of walleyes in the boat today.
I didn't even think that was possible.
We didn't catch a full limit. We could have, but we just caught enough for us all to have a fish fry tonight. Didn't use the live scope, and part of that's my fault.
Why is that? What'd you do?
Because
What's the crucial part of the live scope? The screen.
So I just installed like a new live scope bracket or a Garmin bracket for my screen, my head unit in my boat, which we've been fishing out of your boat. Your boat's in the shop once again.
Someone want to... No, let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sell
We got a tournament that we're going to fish out of my old little Lund fishing boat. So I was trying to get it rigged up. I put so I got a bracket for my for my live scope bundle, my ice fishing bundle, and then I've got one now on my boat, and I've just been popping the head unit out and moving it back and forth. This is the first time I've done that. Otherwise, it normally all stays within my bundle in my bag, and I grabbed the bag to go out on the boat today and totally forgot that I took the screen off and left it in the back of my pickup. So I'll bring it with tomorrow. But anyway, we caught a pile of fish.
Yeah, you don't need it up here.
So Dan,
Yes.
did you know that it is Smokey the Bear's 80th birthday?
I did, actually.
Shocker.
I did.
Shocker.
I shared that to my Instagram the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Smokey Bear is celebrating 80 years of reminding children and their families about the dangers of wildfire and how to prevent wildfires. And he's going to be making daily appearances. This is why you're going to the fair next week, isn't it? Just for Smokey the Bear.
Guess what else I sell at the fair?
Beers.
Ice cream is what I was going to say.
Right, well. So if you go to the state fair this year at the Minnesota DNR building, Smokey the Bear will be doing appearances at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. throughout the fair.
Is he getting around okay? Or is he in
Well, I mean, he's 80.
Does he have a walker?
Yeah, that's a good question. Lots of cool stuff at the fair this year if you're looking to bring the kids somewhere to teach them a little bit more about the outdoors. Maybe you just want to do it. The DNR building at the state fair, 10 years older than Smokey the Bear.
90.
90.
Math.
It opens September 1st, 1934. A cruise from the Civilian Conservation Corps, a government work relief program
CCC.
designed to employ young men on environmental projects during the Great Depression, put up the building in less than 6 months using machined logs. What is your favorite part about the DNR building?
The fish pond, not even close.
The outdoor fish pond exhibit is one of the state fair's most popular attractions. How many dozens of species of fish are native to Minnesota in the pond, do you think? It's more than 2, less than 4. 3.
Math.
3 dozen species
So
of
much
fish
math on this show.
native to Minnesota in the outdoor pond. How many gallons of water do you think this thing holds?
1.
Yes, you are correct. 1 gallon. There's 3 dozen species of
I was
fish.
closest.
50,000 gallons of water.
That's a lot.
And the fish pond, they have fish pond talks taking place at 1/4 to the hour daily from 9:45 to 3:45 for about 15 minutes.
Which
each
would you
time.
rather fish? The Bass Pro Shops fish tank or the DNR fish pond?
That's a great question. I don't know. There's bigger bass in the Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah, but there's sturgeon
There are
in the
sturgeon.
fish pond. There's
Yeah.
paddlefish in the fish pond.
I'll tell you what, you can tell when anglers in Minnesota, when they're at work and productivity goes down, it's because you can watch a webcam of the fish pond.
Either the Bassmaster or Bassmaster got pushed to a Monday or started during the week, or there's some live stream tournament or the fish pond is happening. Last year, I think on this show, we were watching it.
We were watching it for sure, but next week maybe we'll be
We'll
watching
be
it.
doing live sturgeon updates.
There's all kinds of stuff you can see at the State Fair. There's an indoor aquarium. They renovated its indoor fish exhibit in 2013, installing 5 large aquariums inside the main DNR building. There's a fire tower there you can check out. Have you gone up the fire tower?
I have been up that one, and I'm pretty sure with Smokey's birthday, they're giving away patches or something. Like if you go to, there's 4 of these fire towers that if you climb them, you can collect all Smokey Bear things. My sister did one at Itasca with her husband not too long ago.
Interesting.
So that's one of them. The State Fair is one of them. You should be concerned why I know so much about Smokey Bear, but I do. It's pretty cool.
Visitors can view rocks and fossils from throughout the state, including a 50-pound agate.
It's my dog.
Yeah, exactly.
She's making
just walking
appearances.
around. Yeah. You should explain that real quick.
Our dog, family dog, is named Aggie, short for agate, but she's about 65.
Yeah, maybe there's 2 of them, I guess.
2 Aggies?
I don't know. Go check out the State Fair and go check out the DNR stuff at the Minnesota State Fair this year. It's a good time if you're going to go to the fair. In between beers, ice cream, and
Deep fried candy bars, corn dogs, cookies. The milk went up in prices here. Did you know that? The
Oh my
all-you-can-drink
gosh.
milk, like the last time I was at the fair, it was $1. Then it went up to $2. Now it's $3.
unreal. It's,
Be sure to vote in November.
yeah, our economy is not great.
I didn't mean to turn this political with milk, but apparently I did.
And if you want to save money right now, if you're pinching pennies because of that economy, go to Inver Grove Toyota for your next vehicle, because you can take a look at the Toyota Tacoma. They've redesigned it. They got a bunch of them in stock right now in Inver Grove, and they start at just $36,195. Tacoma is the number one selling midsize truck in America. So they sell more than the Colorado, more than the Ranger combined. It's better than ever and all new for 2024. It tows up to 6,500 pounds now. It will get you where you need to go on all your hunting and fishing trips. And right now, only for you watching this, our Fish Hunt Forever and Sporting Journal Radio listeners and viewers, get $250 off the lowest advertised price and an additional $500 for your trade-in. Right now, it's a great deal just for you. Visit invergrovetoyota.com/FHF and claim your trade voucher today. Dan, we went out there fishing today. I may not have brought my live scope screen with me in my Garmin.
It was fine.
But we didn't need it.
No, in a day like today, we were just drifting spinners and crawlers, or artificial crawlers, whatever. A lot of guys were, I think I was the only one using an artificial. You didn't need it. You could see the fish on the 2D, and you'd make a quick drift, and if there weren't fish there, we'd reel up and move. And honestly, with the way we were bouncing around a little bit, and some of those, especially those first spots, your transducer might have been
out of the water,
and it just might have been more work than what it was worth. We had 6 guys fishing at a time, so it was okay to not have it, and we could just focus on fishing and getting what we needed to get done. And this has been the worst fishing season as far as weather. Every time I fish, it's been rainy, windy, or if it's nice, my boat breaks. So,
yeah, I'll tell you, it was nice to be on a charter boat today.
Yeah, we talked about that. If we were in my boat or your boat, or heck, maybe even my dad's boat, we probably would have. There's ways to get out of it. We could have trailered over to another launch to get out of the wind, tucked out of there. We saw some sturgeon jump on the rainy as we came back in here to Riverbend, and thought, hey, we could just stay out of the wind and catch sturgeon for a day. The northwest angle would have been great. Heck, we could have just driven back around there and fished the angle or something. There's ways to do it, but
there's places you can fish. But we wanted to fish up around Garden Island today, and we ripped out there. Yeah, and it was kind of sporty, as a couple of guys described it. But we fished and we drifted spinners and caught a pile of fish.
It was actually a great wind to drift spinners. I was watching our speed, and we were right in the 1 to 1.5, the perfect speed to drift a spinner at. So it worked out really well. We caught a bunch of fish. We're going to actually go eat some here very shortly. Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. What did you think about, it was tough going to the northwest angle and not fishing.
Yeah, it was brutal. But we got to see some really cool stuff that we know we wouldn't have gotten to see if we got distracted with fishing. Yeah. There's a ton of history up there that I think a lot of people have no idea about.
I mean, some of the indigenous, I don't want to call them artifacts, but the petroglyphs and the pictographs, who knows how many hundreds of years those go back?
I know I wasn't there, so they're at least 24 years old.
Okay, you weren't there?
No, I wasn't.
We didn't talk about that yesterday. You weren't part of the tour.
Yeah. Maybe Smokey probably wasn't even there either.
Yeah, I was way before him too.
History.
It's pretty neat, and we saw Fort St. Charles, which I heard about.
Yeah, that's a cool spot.
That was in operation, or it was active, I guess. 1720s to 1740s or something.
Yeah, something in there.
Yeah,
there was a little stretch there, but it's just picture a fort with your logs carved into spikes. You got turrets in the corners. There's a little chapel in there. It's really neat, actually.
Yeah.
So pretty cool spot. And I bet you they could have just gone 100 yards out and caught walleyes from the spot. So.
Yeah. I was sitting on the dock there, and you could just hear fish jumping.
Yeah.
I think that, not to take away anything from the tour, but just being able to rip around the angle and seeing, and then you go up there, you can also fish a Canadian side as long as you're doing it the right way. Paperwork and all of that stuff, but it's a completely different lake up there.
Yeah, you can't compare Big Traverse Bay to the angle, whether you're on the Minnesota side or the Canadian side. You get up there and it's more of your typical Canadian Shield lake. Mika's coming over to say hi here. Your Canadian Shield, high rock. There's bigger hills up there than I expected. We got on top of one island and we could see a long ways. I described it to Joe Henry as being along the North Shore almost.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just getting up high, looking over, like, say, Lake Superior. This just happened to be Lake of the Woods, but we could see Garden Island, Hay Island, a lot of the Minnesota islands there, and it was really, really, really neat. And there's a giant cross at the top there. Some really cool stories, really tragic stories, actually, that happened back in the day of some massacres that were not done rightfully. Not sure any massacre has been, but that one was a mistake. You know, the group of people were mistaken for a different group, and it was a fatal mistake.
We're going to learn more a little bit about that tour and how you can do it. And, you know, maybe you want to go up and fish the angle, but, you know, you want to make it a family trip, and not everybody wants to fish hard the entire time. I mean, you definitely could, because the fishing is really good. But if you want to just learn about the area a little bit and bring the family, or maybe you don't like to fish and you just want to learn some history or history buff, there's a ton of Minnesota history and Ontario and indigenous history and the French fur traders and French explorers that went through there. At one point during the Great Depression, a bunch of people just I don't know, I can't remember if they were from Minnesota or where. I think they were from down here somewhere, maybe.
If I knew the story you were telling, I'd chime in.
Well, you were there.
Well,
anyway, they settled up there in this area, this Narrows, French Portage Narrows, I think they called it. And they settled there to kind of try to ride out the Great Depression. They were done with the world, basically, and said, you know what, we're going to go start over somewhere else. We had a church, they had a school, and they just lived off the land up there. It's a really neat story. So we're going to learn more about that with Joe Laurin coming up. And also Joe Henry's going to join us to talk about the bite on Lake of the Woods right now as well, too. So we're hanging out up here at Lake of the Woods right now. It's been another wild adventure.
Never have a bad time at Lake of the Woods, I can tell you that.
No, and we've been on the road so much. We've been all over to a number of different places. We got some big trips coming up. We're going to be down in Kentucky for the AGLOW conference. If you're an outdoor content creator, consider joining AGLOW, the Association of Great Lakes Outdoor Writers. Go to aglowoutdoors.com. And if you're looking for a world-class walleye fishing destination this summer, check out Devil's Lake, North Dakota. They're a big part of AGLOW as well, too. Some great people up there, Susie and, of course, Tanner. And then I know Pat goes up there all the time now.
It's time for a casting blast over there.
Absolutely.
Honker season's open in North Dakota, so
catch it all at Devil's Lake. Visit devilslakend.com to learn more and plan your trip. Joe Laurin is next. Now is the time to start thinking about chasing big walleyes on Devil's Lake. Get on the fish at Haybale Heights Campground and Resort. Haybale Heights makes it easy for you to make memories on legendary Devil's Lake with guided fishing and lodging packages. Or bring your own boat and rent one of their cabins on East Bay. Haybale Heights offers a private marina, fish cleaning station, and the opportunity to relax and enjoy your bucket list trip to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. To book your trip, visit haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com.
Attitudes.
Why they're here.
Yeah.
And then maybe just turn the screen around once we're, but 1, 2, 3, 4 sounds good.
I think so.
All right.
Good audio. So.
Rolling? All right. All right, this is Sporting Journal Radio. Thanks for tuning in on the radio network. By demand, sportingjournalradio.com, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube. Once again, we're in a boat. We're not fishing today. We're with Joe Laurin, though. Joe, what did we do today? When people ask you, what do you do, what do you tell them?
You know, I've done a lot of fishing on Lake of the Woods, but sometimes I like to do something a little different. So I like to bring people to historic areas on the lake, such as waterfalls. There's gold mines, pictographs, petroglyphs. There's inland lakes, and a lot of dimension to the lake outside of fishing. Sometimes you need a little break, and I give people that opportunity.
The Northwest Angle is neat in itself just because of the scenery, just the history of how the angle was created with the mapping error and the Treaty of Paris and all of that stuff. But to be able to go out there and see what we saw today, just some of those petroglyphs and the pictographs. I mean, how many years back do you think those were created?
They probably had to be 800 plus years old, you know, some of that stuff. And it's hard to say. People are still trying to analyze it and try to understand how many years, hundreds of years ago it was. But it's definitely, kind of prehistoric time for this lake.
Yeah, it was really neat to see. And this is something, you've created a new business where you take people out and show them these things. What's the name of the business?
Lighthouse boat tours. I also do snowmobile tours, but it's just to get people out, especially like first-time families. And a lot of times people want to come to the Northwest Angle to get it off their bucket list. So if you come up to the Angle, you don't have a boat, it at least gives you an option to go check out some cool stuff, such as Fort St. Charles or Massacre Island, or some of the historic stuff, such as the pictographs and petroglyphs and mines and stuff.
It's a lot of things that I've heard about for a long time, like Massacre Island. I've been hearing about that forever, but I'd never had a chance to go out and see it. And to be able to go see Fort St. Charles first and learn about that history, and then learn about how the people that were there were trying to travel to the south end of the lake. They stopped and camped on Massacre Island, lit a fire.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
You're right. Yeah, big mistake. They paid the price, but also, when you look at how many years ago that was, people are still talking about it today. People are still respecting what happened and visiting it, and paying honor to it by just attending where they lived and where they got massacred. So it's always an interesting story, and it's a story that's unique for both Canadians and Americans.
Now, we were in this boat here, this harbor craft that you took us out in. It's got a cabin on it, so I thought it might rain. We had our rain gear with it. Ended up not raining on us, but if it were to rain a little bit, we would be dry inside, obviously, and I see you got a heater in there, too, to stay warm. But you'll do this on a jet ski, too.
Yep. Yeah, sometimes if it's just one or two people, we could go take a jet ski, and sometimes you could get a little farther. Some of the mines that are on the north side of the lake take a little bit to get to, and if you're just got a few people, it's easy to take a jet ski and bop on out somewhere.
How many years ago did you start doing this?
I would say probably 25 years ago, and we started with annual jet ski trips, and over the years we just started gathering stuff, and I thought instead of just keeping it all to myself, I thought I'd share it, so as people get out and explore, it's kind of unique. There's nothing that makes me more excited to go. I have family up. We go to one of the sites I found, and you see another family that you don't know looking at their phone, looking at the phone app with their wife and kids, just enjoying something on the lake a little bit outside of fishing.
When I first heard about the app, before I knew you were doing these tours or anything, Joe had told me that you created this app. Tell me about the app and why you decided to make it.
So Lake of the Woods Digital Guide, I guess I had some history on previous jobs of doing some software, and I thought it would be really unique to have a way where you could find stuff. Like, what do you want to find? Do you want to go to a POW camp? Do you want to find a mine or a pictograph? So you could sort in the app by what you want to see, and then you could just say view on map, and it'll show you where it's at. And then there's also a few sentences or paragraphs of what it's about. So whether you want to go to a sun sweep, what's a sun sweep? You could do studies on it. Or you want to go to Cheerio Beach. Why do they call it Cheerio Beach? And you could check some stuff into like that. So I just wanted to make something so, people could always reference it, long after I'm gone.
How long ago did you make the app?
I'd say the app is like I have 5 revisions. I do 1 revision a year, so I believe it's about 5 years old now.
Okay. All right. And so some of those things that you would see on the app is what you took us around today. And we didn't have enough time to see everything. There's a lot of different things. We did go walk in a gold mine. We saw, the pictographs and the petroglyphs. We didn't make it Cheerio Beach, but we did see you actually have some of the rocks in here. They look like little Cheerios.
Yep.
So any idea what causes that?
A lot of people that visit them think, they're going to study and try to understand it. I've never really heard a suitable answer how they're formed. Some people think that there's some kind of worm in there that decays, but they're all different sizes, so I don't know if I buy that. But if you Google like hagstones, there's a lot of different theories, and I think there's a lot of different theories because no one really knows. But especially when this beach is putting holes in wood, it's putting holes in metal, it's just, it's kind of unique. And I think it's the different wave formations and the way that the beach is pounding what's there. It's just doing some odd stuff that's really not to be found anywhere else on the lake.
So you said hagstone, so that's H-A-G,
yep.
hagstone.
Yeah, if you Google hagstones, you'll see that there's, it shows the picture of the Cheerio stone, and there's a lot of different theories of what powers it has. Oftentimes people take a few Cheerio stones with them, and I'll say, if you get any special powers, let me know. You yet to get a call back.
Sure. We did not see any of the POW camps. So why were there POW camps here?
So during World War II, England asked Canada to house German POWs. So during that time, the POWs, there was 5 different camps on the lake, and they had to cut 3/4 of a cord of wood. And after they did that, then they were done for the day. They actually had pet bears instead of dogs, and they actually were able to get stuff out of the Hudson Bay catalog. They didn't really get paid, but it was kind of unique. And there's still some camp, stuff around the lake where there's saw blades, there's horse bones, there's debris, and probably the coolest thing we found is a jar that had the word Reich on it, like Third Reich. It was a World War II honey ration jar. So whenever you find a Reich jar on Lake of the Woods, you kind of know you're in a POW camp.
So, I mean, so they shipped people here just to cut wood?
Yep. And they had kind of the veteran guard of Canada. They were the guards. And basically, they brought them to remote spots of the lake so they couldn't really escape. And they just had them cut some wood. And, it wasn't like a crazy POW that you hear elsewhere. It was kind of a friendly situation where they actually went to, after the war was done, the POWs that went back to Germany, some came back. And they loved Lake of the Woods so much. Like Lieberworth was one name where he came back, and his whole family lives here because he loved it so much.
Well, this is a pretty neat area. I can understand why people would want to come back here. When you've obviously spent a lot of time in this lake. When you started to see some of these places and learn a little bit about some of the history, like what's the first thing you remember learning about? Going, wow, that's really cool. I wonder what else there is for history around here. Do you remember that?
Yeah, a friend of mine brought me to a gold mine in January, and I remember we were in this mine in January, and I took my glove off, and I got a mosquito bite. And this, instead of it being cold outside, freezing, inside the mine was like 50 degrees all the time. So I took my glove off, got a mosquito bite, and as I shined my flashlight on the wall, I seen there was bats hibernating. So bats and mosquitoes were kind of living in harmony off each other, and to get a mosquito bite in the winter up here was kind of crazy. But that's like my first memory of what got me interested in, wow, I wonder how many of these are around the lake.
And you were working at Polaris at that time?
Yeah, I worked for Polaris over 30 years, and when Polaris made jet skis, we really spent a lot of time on the lake because they basically said, hey, we'll pay for all your gas on the weekend, go for whatever you want to do. So we would just try to, instead of just driving around, we would try to find somewhere to go and, make it meaningful. So we did a lot of research on what's on the lake, what could we check out, and through that we found mines and different things that we kind of made an annual pilgrimage to go to some of these special places for us.
You decided to retire from Polaris. Well, let's talk a little bit about your time at Polaris. What did you do there?
So at Polaris, I did a couple things. One of them was engine testing. So I managed a group of 3 shifts, and we tested every different engine Polaris made, and we basically ran them around the clock. And that was one thing I did. And then the other thing I did was called visioneering, where if an employee had an idea, corporately they would give them, they called it seed money to develop ideas. Probably the highlight of my career was the slingshot. I was involved in the initial Polaris slingshot. So as we got developing that, it took 4 iterations before the CEO said, hey, we're going to do this. But that's probably the highlight of my career at Polaris.
How did you come up with that idea?
It was just like different motorcycles. How do you make them a little bit safer? Sometimes older motorcyclists will buy trikes. Mm-hmm. And we thought, well, trikes don't really look that cool. What if we made something look like Batmobile-ish and made it look really unique? And
did you really think about the Batmobile?
Well, the first time we drove it in public was Austin, Texas. So we put them in semi-trailers, hit them all the way down there, and they said, we're going to go on all these back roads. Here's a GPS route, and we're going to try these in public. So me and another guy, we all had partners. We're driving around Austin, Texas on the back roads, and this lady in a minivan full of kids started chasing us. And it's like, what is going on? So we hid behind the strip mall, and then she, again, still chasing us and got her camera out, and she goes, what is that? So at that time, either I became really attractive looking or people really loved this vehicle. So it was basically the love of that vehicle, and that's when I knew we were onto something, where this vehicle has appeal. And it was so popular, like the first 3 years, employees couldn't buy them. Like they said, this is in such demand. They said, Joe, you were on the team, you could have one, but anyone that wants a ride, you got to give them a ride. So I gave 1,000 rides probably in mine because that was the deal. But it was nice just to have one, Yeah.
How different was the first iteration to the final iteration?
The first iteration looked a little bit more like a roller coaster. It had a lot of tubular frame, and it was a little bit of a naked type of vehicle. Now, as industrial design got involved, they put some plastics on it to make it look more Batmobile-ish. But the very initial design that the CEO loved was a little bit of tubular, naked bike, motorcycle look.
So you spend 32 years
Yep.
at Polaris, you retire, and you say, I'm going to, well, your wife told you needed to get a job,
Yeah,
right?
I needed to get a job because she was working at one of the resorts, so I decided, well, I'm just going to give tours because that's kind of fun, and you get to meet new people, and you get to be on the lake, and so I thought that's not such a bad gig, and that's how it worked out.
And you take people out in the winter, in the summer on jet ski in this boat, and you're out there seeing all these landmarks and seeing some wildlife too. We did get one glimpse of a bear today.
Yep.
Do you see wildlife often when you do this?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of bear, and like even when we've been stuck in storms and we basically had to shut all the windows and wait for the storm to get by, it's amazing to see like bears swim by the boat, or bears drinking water on the side, or bear with her 3 cubs, or we're going to a waterfall area and mother and her 3 cubs are just underneath the waterfall taking a shower, and it's just interesting.
That's pretty cool. Do you ever, I'm not generally too worried about black bears. They're usually pretty skittish, unless you do have a sow with some cubs or something like that. You've got a couple forms of protection.
Yep. My primary form of protection is my Great Pyrenees. Her hobbies are chasing bears, so she kind of checks out the outskirts of where we're going and making sure we're bear free. And then if somehow she misses them, then we carry a can of bear spray with, but we've never had to use it. And we've had some bear encounters, but she barks at them and they kind of run away. You're like you said, they're pretty skittish.
She's chasing my dog around right now. That's great. She's a great dog. She's 4 years old. Mm-hmm. She's big, and she's got some German Shepherd in her.
Yeah, Great Pyrenees and German Shepherd mix, and she's friendly to people and dogs, so she's nice to bring along.
What's your favorite thing to show people you think up here?
I think the gold mines are my favorite. There's a bunch of unique ones, and Sultana gold mine was probably one of the more unique things, and there's some mines around there where they're so special they created fake islands to hide all of the
What?
Yeah, they created fake islands, so all the tailings that would come out of the mine, they made basically a fake island to hide the mine, and this mine's like really cool. It's out of Indiana Jones, and I remember when I showed some people pictures of it initially, they said that's not on Lake of the Woods, and you just got to know where to look. And when you drive near shore, you're fishing near shore on an 80-degree day, and you feel some 60-degree air, give it a double take because it could be a mine hiding back there.
That's wild. And there were actually, they mined a lot of gold up here.
Yep. Yeah, there was 164 gold mines, and probably there was some very productive ones. But they had a problem with separating the gold and the ore. There's a parking lot up in Kenora that they say after the mining ended, people would bring their metal detectors up there for years and still find gold that the separator missed.
Wow. Well, I tried to scrape some of those walls off a little bit. So I'm pretty sure I'm rich now.
Good luck with that.
All right, so will you do this 12 months out of the year, bring people out, or do you take time off in the spring and fall or anything? Or?
Yeah, basically when it's pretty decent to go out. Most people are, it's either summer or winter. In the winter, it's nice to go in the middle of the lake and check out some of the old trapper trails in the middle of the Alanu Peninsula. There's some inland lakes that are pretty unique, so we'll do that in the winter. And then in the summer, generally when it's pretty warm, it kind of goes from end of May through September is most of my tours.
All right. And then what kind of people are you getting? Is it some guys that are taking a day off from fishing? Is it families? Is it people from other countries? Or who are you seeing?
Yeah, it's pretty much a variety. Actually, people fly in. Since we got the most northern points buoy up the angle, a lot of people want to come up here. So I've had Mayo Clinic nurses. I've had Ohio State professors. Different politicians come up and they just say, hey, we like to go out with our family, different business owners, and it's also cabin owners that have been on the lake for 20 years and they haven't really seen anything historic, so they want to get out and about.
It's pretty neat. Anything in the future to change things up or add things, or going to keep doing what you're doing?
Every year I like to do a little more exploring. This year I have like 30 things to check out, and every year I like to add like about 20 things to my app, and I've been doing that. So far I think I have like 212 things to check out, and like to add 20 more by the end of the year.
So are you seeing, because you're adding more, are you seeing repeat business, people coming back to check out more?
Yeah, and I think the big thing for me is just like for app sales. Last year was the first time that I sold every month. Typically it was either in the winter or summer, mostly in the summer, but now it's like all month, every month is, someone's looking at the app or hearing about it.
All right, Lighthouse Boat Tours, Joe Laurin. I appreciate the time. Tell us where to find the app, find more information about you online.
So the Google Play Store has the app, Lake of the Woods Digital Guide, and also Apple has it on their app store. So again, Lake of the Woods Digital Guide, and it's pretty easy to find, and definitely if you're going to spend a few days on the lake, it's worth checking out.
All right, Joe, thank you very much.
You bet, thanks.
All right.
Hunting season will be here before you know it, and it's time to get ready for your next adventure with the OnX Hunt app. Whether you're traveling in search of roosters, elk, waterfowl, or looking to score on a whitetail close to home, OnX Hunt can help you be more successful this season. Route, plan, and navigate with private and public land boundaries, recent imagery, offline maps, and Minnesota-specific hunt layers. Download the Hunt app on the App Store or Google Play and join the millions of hunters that trust OnX Hunt. If you want to catch a big walleye, go where the big walleyes are. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital of the world, with a variety of resorts and lodging facilities offering full-service fishing. Lake of the Woods is also home to sturgeon, sauger, perch, trophy pike, muskie, smallmouth bass, burbot, and more. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods today. Go to lakeofthewoodsmn.com. That's lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
We're back on Sporting Journal Radio. Thanks for tuning in on the network by demand, sportingjournalradio.com, or by watching this on YouTube. And Joe Henry from Lake of the Woods Tourism joining us once again here. Joe, what's happening?
We got her done today, buddy.
Yeah, it was good. You know, if Dan and I would have been here with our boat, we would have been fishing someplace very close to where we were launching from.
Yeah.
Just because of the wind direction and things like that. We definitely would not have gone as far as we did, but thankfully we were in a charter boat.
Yep.
That's what you were driving. And then you had a spot you wanted to go fish.
Isn't that always the way it is? It's always across the lake.
It's always across the lake. And I was like, Joe, it's going to be pretty windy over there. And you're like, whatever. And it was windy.
It was windy over there.
But we fished it.
Well, I'll tell you, in retrospect, if I had to do it over again, what I would have done is we had a strong east, for the people listening, we had a strong east wind, east-southeast wind, and a strong wind. And, we get out there today, and it wasn't bad at all out there. It was nice. Well, then we got halfway across the lake. I literally went all the way across the lake to the north end. Of course, you have to go across the lake. But, once we started to get up there, that gave that open water gave those waves a chance to build. And the waves are pretty darn big up there. And they're charter boat waves. They're bigger waves.
Yeah.
And, we're drifting faster than I wanted to. We had some people on board that weren't quite used to it. For a number of reasons, we hit a couple spots, and it just wasn't coming together. And that's nerve-wracking because I want people to catch fish. It's Lake of the Woods. People's expectations are high, right? Mm-hmm. So what we ended up doing, I'll just share. What we did is we were up south of Garden Island. It was pretty wavy on Big Traverse. So we slid north of Garden Island to get out of the wind. And then we went up there and just drifted up there. And we were up north of Garden Island drifting with crawlers and spinners, and we got her done. I mean, we got some real nice fish. And
it was a kind of a testament to being flexible and being, knowing where else you can go to get out of the wind, other spots to catch fish, things like that.
Well, and the other part of that too is, and it's hard because I don't guide all the time. I certainly know Lake of the Woods like the back of my hand, but I want to give credit to these charter captains throughout there every day. I mean, these charter captains are professionals. They are so dialed in on Lake of the Woods. If you rent a charter boat on Lake of the Woods and you go with a captain, you're gonna, in most cases, you're gonna have a very good experience because these charter captains not only work hard at it, they are dialed in, they are talented, they are passionate, they are good, and they know the lake. Well, I went spot up and say a little bit. If you notice, we went north of Garden. I stopped at a spot and just started driving around a little bit, kind of slow. Everybody stretched their legs. I was looking for fish. I didn't see what I wanted. So then we kept on going. And, of course, there was a few charter boats already up there drifting where my second spot was. I'm like, well, if there's 3 charter boats drifting, and it was a big area.
And, they're saying, oh, look here comes another boat. They saw us sitting here.
Yeah, but not with 3 boats. They only had 3 boats here in this huge area.
Yeah.
It wasn't a tight area at all. And so we went up, and actually, if you notice, I stayed off their line.
Yeah, you did.
I stayed way off their line. One thing you always got to do, I think, is when you're fishing amongst other people drifting, the one thing people don't always realize when you're going back up for another drift, don't go up anybody's line, meaning where they're drifting and they're going to fish, don't go up that line because you could spook those fish out. Be polite, go around and go up and come back in and set up, you know. But anyway, that's what we did. We and there was 3 boats at a huge expanse. I didn't even take the same line those guys were. I stayed a little ways, but that was my second spot I was going to anyway. And my gosh, if we didn't start pecking fish
Right away.
And you know what? Well, I'll tell you. Tell me if the mood didn't change.
Yeah, well, for sure it did.
For a couple of reasons. Number one, the waves are smaller.
Yeah.
Number two, we started catching fish. And
catching fish makes you put up with a lot of stuff too.
it does. And we had rain too, by the way.
Yeah.
We had rain today. And it wasn't a great day. I mean, it was one of those days you're like, why of all the days I'm going to be out there does it have to be today that it's rainy and windy, you know? But we went out, and I'll tell you what, we came in with a cooler full of walleyes and saugers. We let a nice pike go, and we lost a couple nice fish.
Yeah.
And then we stopped on the way home. We stopped at one spot just to catch a better fish. We drifted over to this rock reef, and we had triple header on.
Right away.
And I think we could have been a four popper, but a triple header right away, and they were nice. Put some of the nicest fish of the day. And then when we got some nice fish that we added to the cooler, and okay, so we're gonna go in now. Let's just go in. And you know what? It was pretty funny because when you get off that reef, tell me how big those fish were on the graph. And then the marks were big marks. Yeah. I mean, big hook, you know. So yeah, it was a fun day overall. It took a while to get in. I just got done cleaning all the fish, and we're gonna have a massive fish fry tonight. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Thanks for cleaning them all.
You're welcome.
By the way, it was funny. It was pure Lake of the Woods. Just going to an area. And, I mean, you kind of knew the area, but we're going to the area. Yeah, there's some other boats there. You weren't exactly going on their line. You weren't going exactly where they were. Yeah, let's try this drift here, guys. Drop down, bang, bang, bang. Started picking up fish immediately.
Thank the good Lord.
That's the thing about guiding. I mean, it's a different amount of pressure that is applied when you're responsible for getting these guys on fish.
It is. I feel
and their families, so.
Yeah, yep, they're a family. Well, and that's the problem is that, you know, never hear the end of it, you know. But you know, I'll say this: you know, as a guide, it is sometimes stressful because you want to do so good for your clients, and you know, you do your very best. You work your tail off. You do everything you possibly can, and when it's all said and done, I think if a client knows that you did everything you could do, they're going to be good with it. Now, if you go and sit in a spot that's out of the wind and drift for 2 miles, and you're not catching fish, and you go up and do it again to make, it's not right.
Yeah.
Difference between a charter boat driver and a fishing guide, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
and no live scope.
Yeah, no, we didn't have live scope today. We just using old-fashioned electronics, sonar, and of course GPS. No light. Yeah. We didn't do any side scans.
Ban the GPS. Ban it. Yeah. It's over. ban the 2D.
But you know, we talk about how Lake of the Woods has gotten smaller.
Yeah.
And the reason Lake of the Woods has gotten smaller because there's bigger boats with bigger motors. They're more reliable. There's GPSs. I mean, they're a good part of today when it was misting out. I couldn't see anything. It was gray all around you. And what you relied on is you relied on your GPS. Now, I rely on that GPS on the dashboard on the boat, but I also got one in my pocket, Navionics. You know, there's Navionics, there's Lake Master, there's different apps. But my point is, I got this one in my pocket as a backup. And if you notice throughout the day, I was actually referring to my phone once in a while because I had a couple icons in there that are my icons. And also, you know, they update that Navionics in your phone, very frequently. So sometimes it shows things that the chip that you have on a unit doesn't show.
And I can't show this. This is where we went today, but I ran. Don't look.
You can show.
I ran a track on OnX and showed how far we went, like how many miles we went, and things like that. And so I didn't start it right away, but we went. I mean, we probably went 50 to 60 miles today out there. Yeah. Because I didn't start the track until we were up here. That was probably 20, 24, 25 miles to that. We probably went more than that, actually.
Yeah.
We probably close to 70 miles today, I bet. Driving around the lake.
We're all getting them. But when it was all said and done, we got it done. And, if I would have had to do it over again, I would have stayed closer to home and just had more hook time, as they call it. More time we're actually fishing, you know.
Yeah.
But, woulda, shoulda, coulda. I didn't realize it was that windy over there. And it is what it is, man. Thank goodness we ended up with success.
Well, it's just so funny, when you think about and they weren't the worst conditions I've been out in, but they weren't great conditions. And honestly, if Dan and I were to just been fishing today and we saw the wind and the rain, we probably would have spent half the day in here working. You know, and having maybe a cold one.
Yeah.
And we basically, I mean, we didn't catch our full limit. We pretty much.
Well, we were pretty close.
We were close.
I had to count them.
And we could have.
Yeah.
But we caught enough to eat tonight. We're gonna have a fish fry tonight.
We got more than 8. We got fish we're gonna eat. We got fish that I left skin on, so we can identify them, and I know how many fish we cleaned that are in the fridge for tomorrow. So tomorrow when we go out, we'll subtract those from the number of fish we can catch, being that Minnesota's a one-day possession.
Well, and that's why I was saying it's, that it's a first of a 2-day fishing trip, we didn't need to catch a limit today.
Nope.
Let's just catch what we want to eat.
Yep.
And then we've got tomorrow to fish as well, and maybe try to.
Well, I happen to have a family member with who's like, well, I'm going to eat a lot of fish. I'm going to eat a lot of fish. I'm going to eat a lot of fish. So he's watching over me in the fish cleaning check, and he's outside the window, the screen window, while I'm cutting fish, talking to me, just hanging out with me, and he's smoking a cigar. He's like, you know what? I'd clean more. We could eat them when they're cold. We could eat them tonight. We could, so we're going to have plenty of fish to eat tonight. I promise you that.
I'm looking forward to that. And Joe, we only have about 2 minutes left here, so we're kind of running out of time. We didn't get a chance to talk about the Northwest Angle, but we talked about that earlier. It was a really neat experience up there.
Joe Laurin's awesome, isn't he?
Learning about all the history that's up there, so cool. And then another piece of history, it's a more recent history, is taking place this weekend on Lake of the Woods.
We have the David A. Anderson Memorial Walleye Tournament, which is the Warrior Boat Tournament. You have to have a Warrior Boat to participate. And what a neat story. Warrior Boat's out of Melrose, Minnesota. It's a Minnesota company. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a cult following. If you own a Warrior, you're almost like brothers and sisters in a way. They're very tight knit. And when David A. Anderson was a pro angler. He worked with the Warrior very closely, and he also has a couple of sons that fish. Kent Anderson's a national sales manager now. He's a pro angler. He has another son that's a very, very good angler, and maybe other family members as well. I'm not sure, but he was a legend. And when he passed away, they started this David A. Anderson Memorial up at Lake of the Woods, and they've held it here ever since. And gosh, I want to say this is what number is this? Is it 7 or is it 6? I'm sorry, sure. I don't know. I looked at it.
I'll look it up.
Yeah,
Keep talking. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, it's a neat deal because people are coming from all over the United States, even Canada, and they're bringing their Warrior boats.
9th Annual.
9th Avenue. There you go. 9 years already. Unbelievable. But it's really a neat deal. They're going to have if it's not the largest fishing tournament in Minnesota, it's one of the. But they're going to have between 140 and 150 boats on Lake of the Woods this coming Saturday. And good anglers. If you own a Warrior boat, when I see a Warrior boat, my gut tells me that's probably a pretty good angler. They Warrior boat handles big waters, so nice. They're such a neat deal, and the fact that it's a Minnesota company and they have such a strong following is really cool. Yeah,
they're also doing public test rides, by the way, on Saturday. So like around 3:00, that they have while some of the anglers are still out tournament fishing. They'll be test riding some boats. So I was talking to Kent about it, and I was like, well, I just have to be in the market for a boat. And he goes, we sell a lot of Warrior boats during this thing.
Yeah.
So Saturday I may be driving around in a new boat and maybe driving home with a new boat.
Tell you what, I fished with Larry Smith before, and I remember
need a new boat.
Filming with Larry Smith, and he wants me to drive and wants me to guide. I'm driving that Warrior boat. Boy, what a neat ride, and I got to say too, honestly, up at Lake of the Woods, all of our resort community, we're very, very appreciative of Warrior holding their event up here. And the fact is, a lot of obviously those anglers come up and pre-fish, and they help us out a lot. It's we're a small community, and we're a lodging community, and every time somebody stays overnight up at Lake of the Woods, our resorts and lodging facilities, they appreciate it. They truly do.
All right, Joe. Well, Mika looks like she wants to go outside, so let's wrap this thing up. But it's been a good time so far. We got a few more days added here at Lake of the Woods.
Yep, man. You know what, folks? If you want to find out more about fishing Lake of the Woods, check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Sporting Journal Radio is a division of Macaba LLC. If you've got a question, comment, or story idea for us, send us an email. Go to sportingjournalradio.com. While you're there, you can learn how to advertise on the show and visit our store for hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Go to sportingjournalradio.com.